This is Joji, this is my knitting journal, and today is Friday, October 26th. This is a very improvised journal. I was not really planning to record today or even at all during this week, but it's been over a month since I posted my last journal, and this week especially I have been receiving many comments asking me when I was recording again, and I was feeling both very happy to receive those comments and sad because I don't have the space to do so. So here I am. This is my tiny patio garden in my city house, and I decided to bring the computer outside and maybe try to record something for us to connect again and see how it's going to work out. So hello again. I really miss my journals, and the reason why I haven't been posting any videos is because my house is currently under renovations. We live in a small townhouse in Buenos Aires, and we are basically renovating every room in the house, and it's taking a very long time. I estimate that it's going to take at least 6 months, and I am at the point where not only there's noise all the time, but also there's basically no room where I can just sit and put my stuff because everything is covered in dust. So we have one safe room in the house where we have all our valuable stuff, like my work in progress, for example, and we are sharing that room with my 2 children. We're all sleeping in that room, and yeah, so what's going on there today is basically my husband's office is functioning in that room, and also one of my kids is playing with the PlayStation there, and my other kid is playing with his computer there. So I didn't think that it was going to work to keep them quiet long enough to do this, so I was just not recording, but I do have so much to share with you. I have been away for almost a month on a trip, and I feel like if I don't record, I'm going to just not share any of that with you when I go back. So here I am, having done all the introductions. Again, if you don't mind, I'm going to put on my sunglasses, not because I'm a cool lady, but because I have very sensitive eyes, and I didn't want to show up like this in my video, but truly that's how you would find me on during any sunny day outside. So I hope you don't mind that I'll be wearing my sunglasses while it's sunny, and the sky is partially covered, so maybe you can see some more of my background reflected in my glasses. The sky is partially cloudy, so I might take them on and take them off and put them on again, but I apologize in advance for wearing sunglasses for this podcast. So what's been going on? Okay, let's start by thanking you all for the gorgeous words you had towards my mother. The last journal I recorded, it was at my mom's house. We had already started the construction work, so she was keeping me company, and you guys were so sweet. She read every comment. She is a very proud lady, and you really touched her heart by sending her your comments, and I know you loved her. I'm going to bring her back to the journal as often as I can. Whenever we have a lot to share together, I'm going to ask her to be my guest, because I also enjoy As you can see, I enjoy her company very much, so it will be a pleasure to have Mom as a regular guest now that I know that you enjoyed her. And yes, so this is going to be a long journal, and it's okay if you don't feel like putting up with all that I have to say, but I have a lot to tell you about, lots of things that went on during the last month and a half. So after I podcasted, I still had about a week before leaving to Canada, and long story short, my flight was cancelled, and in order to make it to teach at Knit City, Vancouver, I had to leave 3 days before what I was planning. So it was very stressful. I have to say that getting away from my family is very hard for me at this point, and I was mentally prepared to be away from them for maybe 3 or 4 nights, and turns out that I had to be away for 1 week because I had to leave early, and that was tough. Fortunately, as I've been telling you for the past few months, I've been trying to get very organized with my work, and I didn't have to do any last-minute arrangements work-wise to leave. So I basically just packed my knitting and all of my clothes, and I just left to Canada, and I just wonder what will happen when I get there. And I posted something to Instagram, and I know a lot of you read it, but it was very heartfelt when I posted, so I wanna give it a special mention here. When I realized that I had to leave the country before planned, I of course panicked, but then I immediately knew that wherever I went, there would be a knitter who would be available in case I needed like help getting around, or help getting sorted, or a bed to crash. Not for one moment it crossed my mind that I would be alone or helpless, or like, I don't know. I just knew that I was coming to my community before, but I always knew that there were knitters waiting wherever I go, and it made me feel so great. And I talked to my husband and I said, do you realize that we don't have to be ever scared wherever we are? We have like this backup system, this network of people who will be able to help and give us a hand whenever we are in need. And I didn't need anything, but I just needed to know that our community was there, and it was very, very heartwarming to get that feeling that it's all going to be okay. I was traveling for so many hours, and the distance between Buenos Aires and Canada is so great, but I still felt like I was going to a friend's house somewhere really close. And that's fabulous, and I hope that there are other communities. I don't know other communities that are this tightly knit together like ours. I hope there are. I hope we are not the only one, but I know we are definitely a community that's built upon solidarity and camaraderie and hospitality and generousness, and that makes me very, very happy. I hope I can return that during my lifetime, and I work really hard to do that too. So, I arrived to Vancouver not without some hiccups during the replacement flight, and I was accommodated by the Knit City girls, Fiona and Amanda. They took care of me and they found a beautiful hotel for me to spend the night before I was arriving to my other destination. So thank you, Fiona and Amanda, for always taking care of your teachers and like reassuring me that everything was going to be okay. You can fly whenever, just get yourself safe to Canada. So I also wanted to mention that. And yeah, so what happened when I arrived to Canada? My suitcase didn't make it, so I found myself with a free day in Vancouver, and I decided to do some walking around, and I ended up going to a fabric store called A Spool of Thread. And I am sad. I don't have any of my fabric haul here with me because that's been put away for the renovations. But I met a really darling new friend who offered on Instagram if I wanted a ride, and she came to meet me to the fabric store, and we just went out for lunch and we bought some fabric, and we chatted knitting and we had coffee, and then she was so kind to drive me around Stanley Park, a beautiful park that looks kind of similar to Central Park in Vancouver. And she drove me around, we did a lot of sightseeing, and then she kindly drove me to pick up my luggage, and she dropped me off at the train station. And I took a train to go into the US so that I could stay with my friend Carson for the other 2 nights that I had not planned to be there in Canada. So my friend Carson, she's a dear friend, and we've been friends for a long time, and she lives in Washington State. She picked me up at the train station, and she fed me, and she gave me a bed to crash, and we had a really good time together. So if you want to see more of those photos, they're on Instagram. And I've been thinking that perhaps if I have some time before posting this to YouTube, I might just look in my phone to see if I have some videos of some of the things that I did during my trip, and I'm going to put a caption underneath for you to know where that took place during my trip. And I'm going to see, I had so many gifts given to me during this trip that I cannot possibly show you. I cannot possibly show you everything that I received. It's just too much for one episode. But I'm going to try to show you. I'm going to try to show you a few things at least, and it's going to be a lot anyway. So my friend Carson gifted me this beautiful skein of yarn. She had been to a yarn festival before I arrived, and she said that when she saw this skein, she thought it was perfect for me. It was my colors. It's by In the Deep Hue Sea, and it's a 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, and it's called This Is Halloween. Of course, you guys are in the Halloween season, but to me it's just very autumnal, and I just love that Carson thought of me when she saw this. So I'm probably going to make a pair of socks with this because I think it's the perfect color for some socks. And then she was the sweetest. So remember last episode when I asked my mom, do you like Brooklyn Tweed, regarding the scratchiness factor? And she said, no, I don't like Brooklyn Tweed. So Carson thought that was very funny, and she also thought that perhaps Mom was not trying all the range of yarns that Brooklyn Tweed has to offer. So she also gave me a skein of Peerie. This is one of Brooklyn Tweed's new bases, and she said that she touched this yarn and she thought it was really soft, so she wanted mom to try it because this is something that she will probably enjoy better than Loft or Shelter or Quarry. This is fingering weight, 210 yards, and a 50-gram skein. So she can do something like a little hat or some mittens, perhaps. It's only 50 grams, but or she can combine this with other yarns for a shawl or something that she likes. But I thought it was a really good yarn for a hat. And then the other thing is Carson received my mail. So I had a few things that I wanted to order before arriving to Canada, and Carson was going to drive from the US into Canada, so she was kind enough to receive those parcels for me, and I was reunited with all that stuff when I arrived to Carson's. So the first thing that arrived was a big box from Primrose Yarn, and you guys, I'm so excited about this box because every skein of yarn was or is just perfection. So Kelsey, the dyer behind Primrose Yarn, I'm going to show you while I talk what I'm talking about. Kelsey, the dyer of Primrose Yarn, it has a very strong personality. I like to study, not study like a psychology study, but I like to link or to see the resemblances between a dyer and the yarn she or he produces, and it's so evident. You can definitely see the dyer's personality reflected in their yarns or in their color range. It's super fascinating for me to see how that translates so perfectly every time. And Kelsey has a very strong personality, and I like strong colors, and I usually tend to look at all of her colors and say, wow, I want to knit all of them, or I like all of them, but truly I don't want to wear all of those colors because I'm more color conscious, probably. So Kelsey has been so far sending me, she has nailed it every time. She has nailed every color she sent to me, and I think that she's even more talented because of the fact that being such a bright person, she can understand what kind of colors I need to make something that suits my personality. So I applaud her for picking the most perfect color palette for me. So let's put this back because I'm squinting a lot. So she sent a whole sweater quantity of this incredible, perfect yarn. You'll understand why I like this so much. And it's just something that's making me very happy to have. This is her rose base. It's a 3-ply sport weight, 325 yards in 100 grams, and the colorway name is called Crime of Passion, and it's this beige brown with dark black splashes of dye, and then a lot of colored speckles like blue, red, yellow, and it's amazing. I'm really happy, really excited to use this yarn very soon. Okay, and then she also sent Yeah, so that was 7 skeins of the rose base. And then, you guys, I have a whole suitcase next to me. And that's my safe space for my yarn at the moment. And everything's like jumping out of the bag. I'm going to take a photo. See, so I'm going to Instagram that now. Yes, or later when I finish recording, so that I don't take more time from you. But then I also received these 5 skeins in the most incredible autumnal colors. Let me get all the tags to the same side. In the most incredible colors I've ever seen. I'm so happy, guys. She's very, very talented. So this is incredible. Look at this. These are all her Adelaide base, 100% merino, 430 yards. It's a single ply base. It's got all the colors. But if I have to like decide on one color, I would say it's like a purple, eggplant, egg, or mauve, dark mauve. That color is called acorn. And then this gray and rust. Like, yes, you guys know I'm obsessed with rust. I've been for so long. So gray and rust, yes. Fahrenheit, same base. Rust with black. Amazing. Phoenix. And then these 2 sweet pink skeins. Dr. Strangelove. More pink than the other one. And this one is a very, very light, very, very light pink. There you go. And there you go. This is called Everything Zen. Everything Zen. Do you know right now how excited I am? I don't usually go like, but all the yarn I brought from Canada gets me. I think I only brought amazing things that I really want to work with right now. I'm so excited. I can't work with all this yarn. There's no way I can knit all the yarn that I bring home. It's definitely truly impossible for me to work with all the yarn that I bring home. Not even mention the yarn that's at home. But it's not making me anxious or anything like that. I'm just happy to have this yarn around and happy to share it with you. Yes. And then okay, let me put this somewhere where I know that I've already shown you. Yes, and then I am doing a little work for Madelinetosh this time. I'm trying not to do many collaborations also because I'm trying to keep my work level very low because of all the things going on at home, and I'm just enjoying my work so much right now that I want to keep it that way. But I was asked by my dear friends at Madelinetosh if I wanted to design a sock with their yarns, and I said, okay, I can do that. So Madelinetosh has always been putting out special collections, and they get inspired by TV series or something that's going on in their country, or feminism, or piece or a band, like a music band, or I don't know, lots of things. There's always something inspiring those guys, and they put together collections to honor or remember or celebrate all of those things. And a couple of months ago, or few months ago, you probably heard that there was this group of researchers who found that there was water under liquid water under glaciers in Mars. So they have already found that there are glaciers, so there is water in Mars in the form of ice, but these researchers, using sonar, I think, or something similar, they found out that there was water as a liquid form underneath some of these ice masses, which leads to believe that there might be some form of life in Mars, which is like fascinating. I don't know how about you guys, but I cannot imagine that there is life only on Earth. I just think humanity is just waiting to find it somewhere else, because there has to be something else. And anyway, so they put together a few Mars-inspired colorways, and so this is the colorway I picked for my design. Oh, I don't remember exactly what it's called. I don't think it's Mars. It could be Mars Rover, but I'm pretty sure it's not. So I'm going to put it down in the notes so that you know for sure. But it's very beautiful. It's beigey pink, dusty pink with some brown tones and some blue speckles because of the water in Mars. And I'm going to do a cabled sock design. But I cast on 72 stitches on my 2.25 needles because I was going to do cables, so I wanted my sock to be big enough, but I'm a bit concerned that it might be a bit too big. I don't know. Now that I'm showing it to you, it doesn't look too big. It just looks uneven, like all of my ribbed socks, but we have talked about that a lot of times. My ribbing is very uneven, but I'm okay with that. So, by the way, that's one of my works in progress that I was supposed to show you later, but I wanted to show you the things that had arrived to CARSON'S. And that project is living in my little Knit City project bag. The guys at Knit City had the cutest merchandising ever. So I'm happy I have this to remember one of the best festivals I've ever attended. So that came from Madelinetosh, that yarn for me to work with. And then I was... So before traveling, I had this idea that I was going to come up with a new sweater design and that I was going to work on that while traveling. So usually what I do is I either design on the go, or if I'm going to travel, perhaps I take one day to plan the whole design, write the basics, like to get me started, and do all the maths. And then when I'm traveling, I'm just following my instructions, and I don't have to stop and, figure out what I have to write or what I'm doing. But since I had to leave before, sorry about the noise. It's just, I don't think I can do anything about that. So if I'm going to journal, it's going to be with construction noises. And so I didn't have time to plan my project, and I decided that I wanted something really, really easy. I actually think that's construction in someone else's house. I wanted something really, really easy, and I had been talking to my friend Julie, Evie and Lily. Julie does my customer support emails, so you might have written to Julie a couple of times, or you might know her from Instagram. And I was talking to her, and she's also sort of my therapist. So I told her, you know what, I have made designs honoring all kinds of different people, and I truly, truly want to honor you right now, to bring you along with me on this trip. So I asked her, I told her that I wanted to design a shawl that had all her favorite things, and she said, well, I want it to be rectangular, and we both love garter stitch. We both love twisted ribbing, even though most people hate it. We both love it. We agree it's very hard to work. It takes concentration and it's fiddly, but we both love the way it looks when we are knitting it up, and we both love a nice bobble fringe. So I decided I was going to design that in honor of Julie. And I went to my stash. I first thought that I needed 4 skeins of gray yarn because I wanted to make it really, really big and substantial. So I was trying to find 4 skeins of fingering weight yarn, gray, in my stash, and I didn't have any. It was a shock. I couldn't believe it. I felt cheated by myself. Like, how is that even possible that you don't have, among all of this yarn, how is that even possible? I have so much yarn and I don't have yarn to honor my friend Julie. So I quickly took care of that, and soon I had a shipment of more Madelinetosh going to Carson, which arrived promptly because I ordered this 2 days before leaving, and it arrived. When I arrived there, it was there. So this is the yarn that I got from Madelinetosh. Needless to say, it's perfect for me. It's the perfect hockey color, of course, and I'm so happy with the way it turned out for my design, and I'm gonna tell you more about that design right now. So this yarn here, I have 1 skein left over because I ended up using only 3 skeins. I feel like my whole neighborhood is under renovations today because I hear noises coming from everywhere, but that's what it is. So this is the yarn that I got from Madelinetosh. It's Tosh Merino Lite. It's their Merino singles fingering weight, and it's 100% Merino, 420 yards in 100 grams, and the colorway is scratch record. And I love it. I'm not good at picking colors. I say this all the time. I always second guess myself, and I'm always like, oh, maybe I should have picked the other one. Oh, like I go to shows and I have such a hard time picking a color, or even from websites. Like sometimes I get like, oh, which color would you like? And I'm like, oh, I'm really, really bad at choosing my own colors, and I'm not being humble. I'm really, really bad because I don't like them. So I wrote to Madelinetosh and I told them that I wanted some gray, and I wanted something that was ready or that could be dyed very quickly because I had this rush, and I usually let them pick my colors for me. Because they're happy to do it, and I'm more than happy. I welcome suggestions all the time, and they picked this, and I have to say, those guys, they get me. They get me. I'm so happy with their choice. So scratch record it is, and it's perfect. It's a dark gray with a blue undertone, but it's gray. It's not blue at all. It's gray, but it's a cool gray. And so I'm almost done with this design. It's gonna take me a couple of days to finish, I think, but I'm so in love already. So this is the edge that I have already bound off. The wrap is a rectangular wrap. It has a garter stitch body on 4mm needles, and then so that took me a couple of weeks. That's what I did during most of my trip. I was just working on this garter stitch rectangle. So if anyone saw me at Knit City, you probably saw me working on this piece of the wrap, the rectangle. And it was fantastic because it was not boring at all for me. It was just what I needed. I had a lot of things in the making in terms of writing. I was in the middle of finishing more complex design wording, and I was grading things. I mean, converting to all the different sizes, and I had left some things here in Argentina, like halfway there, and I didn't want to be working on something that I had to use brain power for, truly, but I wanted to be knitting because that's my way of relieving my stress, and it was so perfect, you guys. I recommend this project to anyone who needs a travel project to just travel with you and not to like take center stage. So when it was long enough, that strip of garter stitch, so it was about 1.6 skeins of fingering weight into that rectangle. I picked up stitches all around it, a lot of stitches, and I started working this border in twisted ribbing. So it's completely twisted, so it's not knit through the back loop and then purl one. It's knit through the back loop and purl through the back loop, but that's the way to do it. That's the way that it looks amazing, you guys. It takes work. But I mean, but so does lace. How many of us work lace and we have to be following charts and working decreases, increases, yarn overs, or even lace, you know, the kind of lace where we have yarn overs on the right side and then yarn overs on the wrong side. I mean, that also takes a lot of time. Definitely easier than that is working twisted ribbing, because while I was working this twisted ribbing, I had to be very aware of the movement of my hands, but at not one single time did I need to look at the chart or to even check what I had to do. It was so easy, and it was such a good idea. I shouldn't say this, but I'm like congratulating myself, like, you did it. For once you traveled with a good travel project. I traveled with a project that maybe if I had been at home, I would have said, no, this is going to be boring. I can't be working on this project for a month or more. I need something more exciting. And this time it was perfect. It was the perfect timing, and it was exactly what I wanted to have in my wardrobe. So I cannot show this as a finished object yet because I have to finish. I have only bound off about maybe 35-40% of the shawl. so I have a lot to go still. As you can see, I still have, let me show you how many stitches I have on my needle. There you are. It's a lot of stitches. It's a lot of stitches. But I have to say this is totally worth it. I'm enjoying it. I posted this wrap to Instagram this morning saying I'm sad it's going. For a moment I thought I could like put it away and save it until I have to travel again next month, and then I would bring it with me, but I just knew that it was time for me to finish it. I wouldn't enjoy it so much if I started it again. I hope I can write the pattern soon, and if this is a pattern that might intimidate people because it is a lot of knitting. I mean, it's 3 skeins of fingering weight yarn, 3 full skeins. But if you're in the mood for something pretty mindless, although labor intensive, then I highly recommend that you give my Julie wrap a chance. It will be soon. It will be ready as soon as I finish testing it. Okay, so that's my other work in progress, and some other yarn that arrived to Julie. Oh, it's so noisy, guys. I'm so sorry. I wonder if I should just stop for a while and give them a while, but I suppose it will be noisy later too. Okay, so that's what arrived to Carson. So we stayed there in Washington State for a couple of days, and then we drove to Vancouver, where I stayed with my friends for 3 nights before the festival started. This meeting, this getting together for 3 days, is something that we have been planning for well over 1 year, and it turned out really, really great. So I'm so grateful that I could be there in time to meet my friends before the show. So I stayed in a house, in an Airbnb house, together with Carson, of course, and then my friend Miyoko, who's from Portland, Oregon, and Miyoko works for Woolfolk Yarns, so you might have emailed with her if you have ever written to the company. And then Tracy and Jody from the Grocery Girls also were sharing those days with us. We were very lucky to be able to spend some time again this year. And then Helen, my good friend Helen from Curious Handmade, who I've seen this year in Bath when I was working for her. She also could make it to Vancouver with us, and I'm so grateful that Helen also could come and spend that time with us. And then my friend Diane from Suburban Stitcher podcast, who I had also seen this year in March when I went to Texas. And of course my friend Vera, who came from Finland, and we were teaching together at the festival. So we all rented this beautiful house, and we were feeling very luxurious because it was better than we had anticipated. So when we arrived there, we noticed that we had all this space, and there was an amazing kitchen, and there was a barbecue. So we even were able to invite people who were at Vancouver for meals and like to get together to eat something. It was really, really great. And we even, one afternoon, we were walking with Vera. We were actually going to buy some wine. And we were walking to the market, and someone, a knitter, a beautiful knitter, she stops her car. So she's driving. Apparently, she saw us. So she stopped her car, parked the car, and came over and said hello. It was so much fun to be able to just hang out in Vancouver before the show. I usually stay longer after the show, but this time I came before, and it was a great idea. And yes, so my friends brought all kinds of presents to that house. Let's see. So what else did I get? I got 2 skeins of tuku wool sock from Vera, of course, from Finland. I've talked about this yarn before in the journal. This is 80% Finnish wool, 20% polyamide. And tuku wool is a beautiful Finnish company owned by my good friend Tina. And yes, I'm really happy. Probably I'm going to make some really cozy socks. Because I'm a bit sensitive to this wool, so I'm pretty sure that if I make a hat, it's gonna be itchy in my forehead. So I think socks will be perfect. Some earthy, cozy socks with tuku wool socks, and then Miyoko brought 2 skeins of. Let me see if I can find the other one. Otherwise, I'll just show you one. Where is it? The other one. Okay. She brought 2 skeins of the new Woolfolk range, which is called Flet. It's this textured, beautiful, cozy yarn. And I think it's 100% Merino, 100% Ovis 21 Ultimate Merino. So the base is the same luxurious, uber yummy yarn they use for all of their products, but they made this loopy, beautiful textured base instead. Oh, and the yardage is 50 grams skeins, 131 yards. So it's almost like it's like a worsted weight. I wanna swatch and see how it knits up. Yes. Then I had ordered some yarn from Diane, Suburban Stitcher, because it's like you guys know that every time I travel is my opportunity to get everything that I might need for quite some time, and I'm not going to go to the US or North America until April next year. So everything from the American continent that I might need had to be brought home from this trip. And then I'm going to Barcelona next month, and I already have my supplies from Europe coming to my friend's house there. So I wanted to make sure that I was not forgetting anything, because I don't have any new opportunities to get anything from the US for a while. So I ordered from Diane 5 skeins of this color that I love, because I haven't been knitting with blue in a while. It's been a while. So she showed me this color and I thought it was perfect. So I ordered it. It's called Moody Blues, and this is her Merino Decay base. How gorgeous is this? So I'm gonna tell you what happens to me when I look at these skeins. They remind me a lot to Malabrigo's colors, and Malabrigo's my it's always my first hand I love. And those colors like azules or aguas, if you guys know Malabrigo's colorways like I do. But the difference, the awesome difference, is that they are very updated. So they have the speckles and the new splashes of black. So Diane can get enough saturation like this so that it becomes something completely new. And I knew I wanted to carry this along with some mohair because that's the thing right now. So everything has to have mohair. And so I asked her to dye a complementary color of mohair to go with these blue skeins. So she came up with this navy color. She called it navy. And I got 3 skeins of this. So that's enough to go with all my skeins of decay. And let's see. I'm sorry that I come so close. Yes. So look, guys, I made a swatch. And I love this. Look at that yarn. I love the way these two go together. I think that the mohair is something that really, really adds to the variegation of the yarn. I thought I would be starting this while I was in Canada, but I really didn't feel like thinking or planning a new design, so I just swatched it while I was there, and I'm going to start the design soon. Here I want to make a very basic v-neck cardigan with positive ease, maybe not a drop shoulder, but satin sleeve, but with positive ease, so kind of like a drop shoulder satin sleeve hybrid. And I want it to be long with pockets, so kind of like a tunic length maybe. I have 6 skeins of this, so I hope that's enough, because I want a very warm layer, sort of like a school cardigan kind of. I don't know how you call that, but that's what I have in mind. So this, Diane brought it herself, so I didn't have to pay shipping. Yay! Thank you, Diane. And we went to a button store when we were there in Vancouver. You probably heard this from Diane and the grocery girls because they told all the same stories. But I'm going to tell you about the button store too. So the button store was very, very cool. I have button stores here in Buenos Aires, and they're very, very cool too. But I think that the way they were displaying the buttons here was very, very tempting. I spent a lot of money. I didn't know that I was spending that much. I'm happy I did because I love my buttons, but it's a dangerous place. Just know that you start adding buttons at $2 a piece, and then suddenly you are like in $100 worth of buttons. And but I'm happy I did. So one of my goals was to find buttons that would go with this yarn that I received from Diane. So I bought, and most of the buttons they had metal ones and wooden ones and seashell ones, but they also had these beautiful vintage looking plastic. They're not plastic, I don't know what they are. They don't feel plasticky. They feel vintage plastic. And okay, so these are like a navy blue. I can't. I can't show you the true color of my buttons, but they go really well with pink, I hope, with the blue, because actually they are kind of different. So you can actually, so they are blue, so they are like they belong, but they are different enough that you actually can notice the button if you place them in a button band like that. I'm sorry, the colors are so weird today, but look, that's because we are surrounded by all this greenness. I wish you guys could smell my roses and my jasmine. It's like the same. It's like it happened to me with the perfume when I was putting on perfume to do the podcasting. I put the computer here today in the patio and I thought, oh, they are going to love the perfume. That's so silly of me. Anyway, I got those buttons. I got a lot of them, so I can make my cardigan very long if I want to. And I also got some other buttons that I cannot find here in Argentina, because I can't find really beautiful wooden ones and metal ones, but the ones that I cannot find so easily are, for example, these. This I won't be able to find so easy. And then I got these. These I probably would have found, but I love them. And I got these vintagey black ones, really, really old looking. I love them. And these smaller ones for sewing, probably. For one of these, maybe. And then, what else did I get? Oh, these are really cute. And one single button. There was this cute chest of drawers that said adopt a button for $1, so you could take any button that you liked. No, it wasn't $1, it was 10 cents. 10 cents. So I got this one, but they were all it would take a while to find matching buttons for a set. I just realized that we are about an hour into this episode, and looking at my suitcase, I probably have about 1 hour to go. So I'm giving you proper notice that it's okay if you don't want to go through this. But I really wanted to record this episode and tell you all of the things, or not even half of the things I got, but I wanted to show you guys some of the things I brought. I also got these beautiful ones, black ones. These were the most expensive ones. These were a splurge. And she only had 7, but I thought they were perfect for sewing a coat. So I'm hoping I can go back to my sewing machine soon. I haven't been sewing anything, and I really miss her. She's packed. She's away at the summer house, safe from all the noise and all the dirt. And I also got these rust colored ones because rust, right? Yes, so I bought a lot of buttons. I'm happy. I just need to design a lot of cardigans now, which I plan to. I'm going to design cardigans for sure, because that's what I like to wear. I have to say, I've been looking on Pinterest for inspiration, like, okay, what are the trends? What do we like? What are we wearing in terms of like clothes to go with our knitwear? And it's mostly pullovers. So kind of like not lacking inspiration, but like, okay, I'm going to have to do my own thing. I can't get inspired by fashion this time. Okay, so that's the yarn that went to the house, I think. Oh, this is the other skein of Woolfolk. So this is what Miyoko brought. Yeah, so that's what went to the house. And the buttons. But I wanted to share with you guys something truly, truly, truly amazing that I've been wearing non-stop since I got it. So a while ago, you might recall that I started sewing bags, and then I was attaching leather handles to them, and I showed you how generous maker from the UK had been to me, and she had sent me some leather handles for me to try, and she sent me some instructions, handwritten instructions. This friend is called Nu, and she lives in England, and she has her own shop. She's now making project bags, which are amazing, and I'm going to put her website here. And she is a leather worker, and she's seriously incredible. And I think she was on a break. She was taking a break when she contacted me, so I couldn't see the things that she could make, like the things she knew how to make. But then in June, I was driving back from that trip in Uruguay, and I think that I stopped for gas. I don't text and drive. I don't check my phone while driving, so it has to have been when I was getting gas, and I checked my Instagram while I was driving for that road trip, and I saw that Nu posted, I have a few items left that I'm going to put up for sale soon. These are the only pieces left, and if you want one of these, please send me a message. And they were the most amazing items in leather I had seen in a while. So I sent Nu a message, and I told her that I please wanted item number 2, and I gave my phone to my husband, and I told him, you have to be alert, you have to be take care of my phone, because I have made a claim, I have claimed an item, and I really, there's someone on the roof right now. And I really wanted to get that for me. So he did. He got in touch with Nu, and Nu saved the item for me, and I couldn't get it until now that I came to Canada, and with Helen this item arrived. So guys, this is my new purse that I haven't posted about, because I really, really wanted to show it to you in the journal, because it's so amazing that I truly can't stand how gorgeous it is. So it's completely handmade. The leather quality is beyond. It's rustic, it's rugged, and it's just something very, very special to me. It has the perfect size for me to, I'm not a big purse kind of lady, so I usually have just my phone, my wallet, my keys, and my sunglasses. And then I carry another bag with my knitting probably. So this has just the perfect size for that. Plus it looks super, super cool with my handmade dress. And it just makes me happy to know that my friend Nu made it. But you have to see how gorgeous the whole thing is from behind. It makes me feel like it's a piece of a saddle from a horse, and I just love to know that everything is handmade. Probably it's got a few marks while it was inside the suitcase, but I know it's going to get marked, because that's what happens to leather, and that's why we love leather, right? And I love the raw edges. I mean, look at that. It's beautiful. So Nu has been making some more leather items, and I know she has some project bags in leather that are equally amazing. And also, she's now working on some new wax canvas and leather project bag designs. So please go and check Nu's website. She truly deserves the mention because she's a really, really good artisan, not just a beautiful person. She's a really, really good maker. And as a gift, because I had purchased her bag, she sent me this cute notions pouch where I'm storing the buttons that I'm going to use for my blue cardigan right now. But you can use for whatever you like. And this goes inside my bag. Yes. Okay. What else? I'm just looking at my stuff to organize the events in the order in which everything happened. Okay, let me put these blue yarns on the side. Yeah. Okay. So I think that next comes the time for me to go to the festival. So Knit City was a 3-day show. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for me. And I know there were classes on Monday too, but I worked there on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Friday, I taught a full day class. So I started my morning work at 10 a.m., which was great. Event organizers, whenever you can, please don't start your classes at 9. Start them at 10 because everyone's happier. Teachers, students, everyone's happier at 10 a.m. rather than 9 a.m. But I know sometimes that you just can't. I was just making a point. So I had the same students throughout the day, and it was fantastic. Literally, I always think I get the kindest students ever, and it was a fun class. It was full day of sweaters that fit. We got to fit everyone, to take measurements. We talked about style, we talked about color, we talked about how to adjust the sweaters to fit you properly. It was a really, really nice day. I had a really quiet lunch because the marketplace, so my classroom was right next to the marketplace, but the marketplace didn't start until Saturday. So basically the only people hanging out in those premises, like in the park around Knit City, were those ladies who were taking a class with either me or Vera. So that was really small. And I just sat down under a tree on a little bench, and I had my lunch, and then I came back to class, taught my class, and it was really, really nice. And then in the evening, so at 7, Vera and I had the honor of giving the keynote speech for the show this year, and we talked about how we come up with interpretations books every year, and we showed everyone there some short videos about how it's like to put together the book, and especially how the photo shoot took place and how we managed to get everything to Patagonia and take those photos. And it was very nerve-wracking to speak to so many people. Vera and I had given another keynote speech at a Knit Girls retreat, and then we also did a small presentation like this for the Hill Country Weavers retreat this year. But the way Knit City was announcing the fact that we were talking there, it made me feel really nervous. Like, what if they don't really care about what we're talking about? I never know with keynote speeches what you're supposed to give to the audience. Like, are you supposed to talk about the event? Are you supposed to talk about yourself? Are you supposed to inspire people? Are you supposed to teach people? So the days coming up to this talk, I was really, really nervous, and I didn't want to make a fool of myself. And yeah, I got many nice comments after that. We got really good feedback, so I think at least we didn't do it so wrong. But I still don't know if I'm built for like being the keynote speaker of an event. I think I enjoy more just working and like being in the background maybe a bit, but that I know that was not possible for Night City. I know that many people were coming to see Vera and I, so I hope that we did it okay. And yeah, so I already thanked Fiona and Amanda for, you know, finding my hotel and taking good care of me, but here goes another note of appreciation that it's very, and to everyone who came, and I'm crying a little, but I have my glasses, so that's okay. It's very humbling to be put in that spot, to be given the opportunity to talk about what you do, to share that with everyone who came. And I know that people were really interested in what we were saying. It's just really hard to believe for me still that I can go to a place like so far away and that there are people who are really interested in hearing my story and how I do my work, or that there are people who come and tell me what my work does for them, or that they watch this space, they watch this podcast. It's really, really humbling. I think I did it pretty well with all of you. I think that I could be able to receive everything that you wanted to give me. But if at some point I looked or sounded a bit short, I was just a bit overwhelmed and very, very thankful above everything. Very, very grateful. So, very special thanks to the sponsors we had that night. Vera and I were able to come up with several door prizes to donate among the people who were attending there. To a huge shout out to Julie Asselin, Neighborhood Fiber Company, Madelinetosh, Pom Pom, and Hedgehog Fibers, who all donated beautiful yarns that were included in the book. And yeah, we could draw some prizes too, which was really fun. And yes, so then that was Friday, and then Saturday it was a very intense day. Saturday was the day that the marketplace opened, and I had planned to be there really early. And so when I woke up, my family was supposed to be leaving Argentina to come see me. They were supposed to arrive on Saturday night to Vancouver. And I received this message from my husband telling me that there was a problem with their flights and they couldn't leave the country. So I'm not going to tell you everything that went through on their side, but they basically arrived a whole 25 hours later than I was expecting them, which made me very lonely because I was already prepared for them to arrive on Saturday night. and they were going to meet some of my friends at the show, and they couldn't. So with all that, I still try to get up early and get ready for classes and to arrive to the marketplace early so that I could go to all the booths that I wanted to go before my classes, because I was still teaching at 10 a.m. Class in the morning and another class in the afternoon. So the first booth that I went to, and I took photos and I stopped for a moment, was Sweet Georgia's booth. And I now remember I was about to do my purchase, and then I looked to my side and I saw that Tracy and Jody were at another booth, and I thought, I'm gonna get them and then I'm going to come back to Sweet Georgia to do my shopping, and I never came back. And I only realized when I was in Alberta, Canada, that I didn't have any Sweet Georgia with me. And I feel miserable about that, because I had plans to buy a few things from them, and I can't believe I left the festival without buying a single skein from them. And I don't have any gifts from Sweet Georgia, so I will place an order next year when I go to the US again. But I was miserable about that, because their booth was out of this world colorful, and even if I don't usually go for the colorful, Felicia has some really beautiful neutrals that I love, and I love their superwash decay. I want to get some of that to make some sweaters, and I just left without it. I can't believe it. I seriously am very frustrated about that. Anyway, when I looked to my right, the booth that Tracy and Jody were at was the Sweet Fibers booth. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go there and see what the guys are buying and do my own shopping at Sweet Fiber and then come back. So when I got there, I'm missing something that I will want to show you later, that I'm going to go get later. So when I got there, Tracy and Jody say, you know what, if you want to buy something from this booth, you better buy it now, because as soon as more people get into the festival, they're going to run out of yarn. And I took it very seriously, and they were right. Oh my goodness, that booth sold out like this. Like in 2 hours, they were out of yarn. So I bought a sweater's quantity of this yumminess. This is Cashmerino worsted by Sweet Fiber, and it's 183 meters in 200 yards, 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon, and their colorway is ochre. And I bought 7 skeins because I want to make a long cable cardigan with this yarn, because I can't think of anything more perfect than that. Yes, so there was a very expensive stop. And then I bought 5 skeins of their Cashmerino 20. So this is fingering weight yarn, 70% merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. So it has twice as much cashmere as most merino cashmere nylon bases. And I bought 5 because I just want to know that I have enough in case I want to go crazy making long something. Plus, I'm a bit bigger than previous years because I put up some weight, so I'm happy having more yarn. And lastly, I bought these 4 skeins. Let me put them in order. What would be the right order for this? This? Now I don't know. When I bought them, they looked very gradual, but now I don't know if I should put them like this. Okay, I'm gonna put them like this, but I don't know if they are okay like this. Maybe not. I bought these 4 skeins because I thought that they would make a fabulous wrap, big one. So this is their Sweet Merino Lite. It's a fingering weight yarn that I have used for shawls and sweaters before, and it's 4 different colorways. So this one is the Marshland, I'm pretty sure, Marshland, which everyone was crazy about because of Tink and Knit's amazingness. And then the Spirit one, Spirit. And then this one is Sea Glass. And then this one is Evergray. And my favorites are probably these 2. They look so amazing together. So I might use these 2 for a shawl and then like use these 2 for something else, or maybe give some to my mom. I don't know, but I just couldn't leave them there. They were too amazing. Look at this. They were perfect. And yes, so what else? I couldn't visit every store at the show, which is something that made me very sad, but I just couldn't find the energy for that. So I just went to the shops that I really, really wanted to visit before going. Like from before going, I already knew that I wanted something from these dyers. Which is something that I'm glad I did. Look at the marketplace vendor list. So this is another sweater's quantity that I got from Yarn Inc. My friend Alicia. And this is the Classic DK, 246 yards. It's a merino nylon blend, 75% merino, 25% nylon, and is this neutral speckledness amazingness, and the colorway is called Pebble, and it's like an off-white with some beige, and it's actually more blue. This is like a navy blue black. It's bluer than it looks on the screen. Okay. And also another booth that I really wanted to stop by was Julie Asselin. And they were mobbed, like their booth was full of people by the time I got there. When I went to Sweet Georgia, and Sweet Fiber, they were pretty empty, but by the time I got to Julie Asselin, they were pretty mobbed, so I couldn't look at the yarn at all. People were like all over the yarn, and I just grabbed like these 4 skeins of mohair in this beautiful eggplant black colorway. So the base is called Anatolia, and it's 60% mohair, 40% silk, and the colorway is called Midnight Oil. So each skein has 300 meters, so I have 1,200 meters of mohair that I don't know. I'm probably going to use it single plied because it's too gorgeous to pair it with something, but I don't know. And then So that's it from the show things that I bought, but I will be back because I want to show you something. I'm gonna stop the video for a second. Okay, so the other thing that I really wanted to buy, what do I have, flowers? The other thing that I really wanted to buy is I wanted to buy Tinka Knit's new book. They had a booth at the show where you could see all the samples, but I already knew that I wanted this book. I had heard of it from Alexa, and I had been following their journey with this new concept, with the Strange Brew concept. And when I heard that they were coming up with a new book, I thought this is something that I wanted to have, because I'm been working on some yoke designs myself, and I've been studying and learning, and I feel like one of the best ways to learn is to experiment with knitting, like knitting from other patterns or reading how other designers solve any problems that might come up during the design process. So I was really interested in reading everything that Alexa and Emily had to say about color work, yokes, and so I went to their booth, and lovely Alexa was there. I have to say, I have this girl crush on Alexa because she's always so happy, and I'm like, every time I meet Alexa, she puts me in a good mood. So she was there so happy and like making jokes and having fun, and I asked, and I know I came to the event before they had opened their booth, before they had opened the marketplace. So I asked them, like, are you already taking orders, or do I need to come after 9 when the marketplace opens? And she said, you're not buying the book, I'm giving you the book, which was unexpected and very appreciated. So I got it signed by Alexa. I wish I could have it signed by Emily too, but Emily wasn't there, unfortunately. So yeah, so I came home happy with my book, and I hadn't really paid any attention to the book when I was in Canada. I just thought, I'm going to pack it and then I'm going to read it. I just want to show you some images from the book because I think it's amazing what these girls do with everything they do. They're like a true role model for me. And so I came home and I thought, I can't really resist these designs. They are very, very gorgeous, and I want to make everything in this book. I mean, look at this sweater there. Like, I would kill to have this sweater for me. So I talked to my son, Nano, who's growing very fast into this young man that I barely recognize. And he has his style and he knows what he likes, and so he's been starting to buy some sweaters that he likes, and I thought that this could be something that he would wear. So I asked him, would you like me to make this sweater for you? And he said, yes, I would really like this sweater. So this is the sweater that I want to make for my eldest son. Probably I'm going to work on that during this summer. So as soon as we move to the summer house, I'm going to be able to have all my yarns with me, and I can come up with some color combinations, maybe use some leftovers. I'm pretty sure he will want a blue sweater, so I will try to find like a blue base and then maybe some neutral accents. So the design is called Marshland, and Yes, so all of these designs in the book come in child sizes, children's, women's, and men's sizes. But I'm pretty sure my nano is already a men's size small, probably, or medium. Look at the child version, so beautiful. So that's what I'm going to do this summer. I want to knit this for my son. And I'm incredibly grateful to Emily and Alexa for putting together a book like this for everyone to have, and most especially for gifting such beautiful knowledge to me. And I love it and I appreciate it. Look at this. Oh, this is called Trek. And they went to Iceland to get their photos taken. Oh my goodness. I want to go to Iceland so bad. Oh my God. Enough said about this book, right? I love it. So that's what came from the festival, and then also visiting the festival was my good friend Julia from Vivid Yarns, who was not vending, but she was visiting, and she brought me this amazing gift. I don't know how the light is right now, I can't see very well, but it's 3 skeins of her what is it called? Is the classic sock or fine sock? Signature fingering. Signature fingering. So this one is the black. This one, white with some speckles, is the swan. Then there's a mix of both of them. So some black and some swan, so it's called black swan. And then a skein of mohair, kid silk lace, called the colorway is called Mad Love, and it picks up the speckles in the speckle skeins, which I think looks super awesome. And then also, I had the pleasure of meeting in person Nicole from Hugh Loco, who was also visiting and not vending. And Nicole was so kind. Nicole asked me to pick some of her yarn, and I couldn't, from her website, I couldn't pick because I'm very indecisive, as I already said. So she was so kind, and she brought some of her yarn. And she said, do you want to take a look at it in person? And I said, yes, please. So she takes out some sets, and when I saw this, I thought, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So she kindly gifted it to me. It's a set, but I don't need to use those together. So it has some sparkle in it, as you can see. And this is her glitz sock in the New Yorker. So it's white and gray with some speckles of brown. Ah. Love it. And then perfectly matching 2 skeins of her mohair lace, 70% mohair, 30% silk, in the colorway Thistle, which is also a gray with some like blush and lilac maybe, or lavender. I don't know. I am not even good at describing colors, but you can see. Okay. So yes, I came home with a lot of treasures, and I'm not even showing you the fabric I was overwhelmed when everything ended, and inspired and thankful and tired too, and just overwhelmed with all kinds of emotions. I feel like I was trying to figure out how I was going to record, to say all of this, and one of the reasons why I wasn't recording is because I couldn't really explain to you all of the things that went through during that time that Knit City took place. I can say from the bottom of my heart that it might not be the best show that I've been to, or it might. If it isn't the best show that I've been to, it's the second best. I'm not going to say the best because then it's not fair to all of the others, but it was truly, truly something magnificent. The marketplace was irresistible. I had never seen so many vendors that had so much yarn that I wanted to buy, and also I feel like all of them were fabulous. Like you couldn't take a break from wanting to buy yarn because everything that you were seeing was fabulous. I honestly had reached my budget very, very fast, so I had to go through booths like in a lace, for example, not being able to purchase anything because I had already spent enough, and so many others. Truly, it's something to see. Knit City, something worth traveling for. I hope you put it in your plans. Vancouver is such an easy city to move around, and there are so many flights that go there from so many places in the world, and you're so close to the US, like you're literally on the border with the US, so you can drive to Vancouver from anywhere. It deserves a spot among the world famous shows for sure, because it's more than incredible. It's really, really something beautiful. You can tell that the people who put it together truly love what they do, and they truly know about knitting, so they know how to curate. Oh, there's a bee. How to curate a nice vendors list. So I hope you someday get a chance to go. And yes, so that's my Knit City experience. After that, we began a 2-week holiday together with Vera's family, which was amazing. We went to places that we think that belong to paradise. My family and I really, really enjoy hiking together. We like to stay, the four of us, close, and we like to talk when we do that. We like to be grateful for everything we have. We count our blessings every morning, and we know that it's not, we don't take it for granted. My husband can't walk really well, so he was doing his last effort before having surgery to be able to hike with us. So we knew that we had to be grateful for the fact that he had that time to come with us to hike up on those mountains in Banff and Jasper, and to admire what nature gives us. And yes, the fact that I always tell my husband, just let's spend time with them. Let's go on all the holidays we can with our children while they still want to come with us, because soon they won't want to come with us anymore. And it's it's naive to think that they will always want to be our children. They will soon want to be their own, and we will be just following them whenever they give us that space, right? So the fact that our kids still get excited traveling with us, and we still reach switchback on our trail, and we hug each other because we did it. Oh, we did it, we're the greatest. And it was 15 days of that, which was magical, and I'm so blessed, so blessed that I get to do that as often as I can. So yes, and we had a fantastic time with Vera's family. We celebrated her birthday when she was there, and we went to a hockey game. We went to lots of places. It's always so much more fun to travel when we had friends to share things with, and another family to have breakfast with, and make plans with, and share your stories of the day. It's always so much fun. In case you haven't checked my Instagram account during all that time, please go back a couple of weeks where I have all my photos for Canada, and I have saved my whole trip stories to my feature stories, in case you want to see the things that I was posting there too, because those photos are amazing. Not because I take good photos, just because the place, Canada, is truly very, it's a very beautiful place. They are very blessed up there. They are very blessed. Yes. And then finally, after going to the mountains and traveling for a few days, we went to Toronto, which was beautiful, but a completely different setting. So we were now in a city, and we were moving from neighborhood to neighborhood, and I had the opportunity to meet up with some local knitters in Toronto. So I've been watching Eric's podcast, Sticks Plus Twine, for a while. Whenever Eric decides to put up a new episode, I'm the first to watch it. I'm super I'm always interested in Eric's points of view about everything, so I'm always eager to watch what he's working on, his male point of view about knitting. It's something I find super interesting, plus I really like him. So when I posted to Instagram that I was going to come to Toronto, Eric suggested that we could get together to do a knit night, and I loved the idea. I was so happy to have that opportunity to meet Eric, and he said he would find a place for us to go, and he said he would invite a couple of his friends. And I was so happy, because I believe that when we have a group, it's nicer, because then everyone's telling stories. And so when I arrived to the knit night, I had really no idea who Eric's friends were, and turns out that one of his friends was Sandy from Sandy by the Lakeside, whose podcast I also watch a lot. And so I felt so lucky to be able to spend time with those two. And also Ramona, who I have never watched a podcast of, but I've heard lots of things about her. And yes, so it was the most fabulous night, and they were truly a pleasure to be around. We felt so at ease. Eric had found this really quiet place, and we had this huge table, so we could exchange presents and put books on top and yarn and knitting. It was the best knit night ever. And then I had invited also Richard de Vries from the Richard de Vries company to join us, because we had planned another meeting in Vancouver, and he couldn't make it to that. So he ended up coming to our knit night, and it turned out to be a 6-people knit night. Memorable night, memorable evening. We had the best time. I had been out in the wild for so long that I really appreciated the opportunity to sit down and just talk knitting and not thinking of what's tomorrow hike going to be like, or you know, pulling out Google Maps and figuring out what we have to do. We just sat down and drank wine and knit together. It was perfect. And of course, everyone came bearing gifts, and we didn't have a gift for any of them, which was a bit embarrassing, but we accepted the gifts with much love, and I am still appreciating them. So, Eric gifted us the last issue of Rib magazine, and he, of course, signed it for us. And yes, I know that this publication is not going to be out anytime soon again, so I'm happy that I at least get to have one of these issues, and I'm very, very happy to be able to read what this amazing sweater is about, because I'm in love. So this design is by another friend, virtual friend of mine, Lars Reins. I've never been able to meet Lars, but we have chatted on Facebook a couple of times, and I really admire his work. And it looks like it has these beautiful slip stitches. I don't know what those are, but they look amazing, and they sort of create a faded effect, so like a pixelation. So I'm really interested in learning how he did that, and I think it looks amazing for guys and for women too. Rib magazine is a publication that's catered for men, so it's oriented to men, and I love the way everything's photographed and styled. It's so beautiful, but I feel like most of these designs can also be adapted for women. Like, I would love to wear this cowl. Yeah. So look at this. Well done, Lars. It's gorgeous. And of course, it's in the cover of the magazine. So this is Rib magazine, edited by our friends Eric and Ramona. And yes, and then Ramona, she watches my journal, and she remembered that I wanted to get some Felici, and I know many of you guys send me messages letting me know when Knit Picks had these available, and I should have gone and purchased them, but I forgot. So she was so kind that she remembered, and she brought me 2 balls of this to make socks. Thank you, Ramona, again. So this is Knit Picks Felici in the this colorway. And then lastly, no, not lastly, second to last, this is something that I didn't want to use it until I showed it to you, because to me this is a true treasure. So this is one of Sandy's Sandy by the Lakeside bags. I'm not the kind of knitter who will go and buy things just because I see them on a podcast. And I think I'm not, because I just cannot get them at home. Otherwise, I would just buy everything and I would be very, very poor. But I know when things are special, and I know when things are very hard to get, and I know what a treasure Sandy's bags are and how hard to get they are. And I'm not just saying that I watch Sandy's podcast. I really like everything that she makes. And yes, so now I am the proud owner of one of her bags, and I feel very special. So thank you again, Sandy. So this is a rather big bag, and I was waiting to show it to you so that it wouldn't be like old and dirty, because I know it will get dirty at home, but I want to use it anyway. I plan to put my Julie wrap inside this now that I have shown it to you. You can find links to all of the things someday in my show notes. I don't know how fast I will be able to make those show notes, but I will try. So there it is. And lastly, of course, Richard had brought some of his yarn. So he asked me what colors I liked, and he wanted to bring me yarn, and I looked at his website, and of course I said, Richard, I can't pick. They are very beautiful, all of them, but I really can't pick. I'm very bad at picking yarn. So he brought a suitcase of yarn to Knit Night, and he covered the whole table with it, and we were able to ask him about the bases and the colors. And Richard has the most fun personality ever. He told us many stories. He told us a lot about how he dyes and his process and where he lives. So I felt very fortunate to be able to listen to all of that and then pick my favorite. So my favorites were two of his colors, and he insisted that I bring home all of the skeins he had brought in those colors. So this is one, and this is the other. And I love them. So these are 50-gram skeins. As you can see, they are not full 100-gram skeins. They are 65 grams, 225 yards. So they are a little bit bigger than half a skein, but definitely smaller than a regular skein. So combined, they would be 200 grams of this and 200 grams of this. Yay! And the colors are Trembling Aspens. How gorgeous is this color? It's autumn in a skein. Trembling Aspens. And then the black is called Charcoal, of course. I wonder how many skeins called Charcoal I have in my stash. Probably 50 from different companies. Okay, so Charcoal and Trembling Aspens. And guys, I think that's it as far as stash enhancements. I hope it was okay for me to share all of that with you, but it was very important for me to do so. So if you are still here, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate it. I love my bag. I think I wanna wear it until the end of the podcast. I'm gonna take my phone off. Okay. So lastly, I'm going to show you my other work in progress, which I haven't seen. I haven't opened this bag since I came back from Canada. So this is the pullover that my mom is helping me with. using Woolfolk Luft. So this is going to be sort of like a poncho type of sweater. So it's garter stitch, very basic, and it has some short rows for the shoulders, and then it has separate front and back. So as you can see, we picked up stitches all around. I look ridiculous with my bag. We picked stitches all around the front. We have to block this a little bit better. But then we made the back. There we go. We made the back, and we have to do the same. And then we're going to overlap them and pick up stitches to work the sleeves. And then we're going to do a tiny neckband. And yes. And that's gonna be it. It's going to be super cozy. I think it's going to be really, really flattering with these flaps. And very easy to knit. Because it's all garter stitch, mostly flat. The sleeves will have to be knit in the round, of course. So then you will have to purl a little bit. Oh, goodness. But otherwise it should be, most of it should be knitted stitches. And yes, so that's my, I got so tangled. That's my last work in progress, and I have two finished objects to show you. The first one is this beautiful pullover that I've shown in the journal several times. We are already testing it, and I think it should be ready in about 3 weeks, more or less, based on the speed that my testers are taking. They're very excited. So in about 3 weeks, we should be ready to have Spectre out to everyone. I'm so happy about this. I'm not going to share with you the yarns again, and I'm not going to tell more details about it because I have already shared a lot before, and I want to talk about it when it comes out as a pattern, as a feature pattern. And I don't want to tire you or bore you with that one, but I wanted to show to you how it looks now that it's finished, because I finished it just before leaving to Canada. And then the thing that I started, I showed you this yarn at the beginning of this shawl when I recorded my last journal, and I knit this shawl when I was during the first days that I was in Canada. So for this shawl I drew a chart when I was on the plane. So I worked up to here, and then I drew this chart while on the plane. So, and then I used the same chart twice more with the other colors. This pattern, I just finished writing it for testing. So I need to send it out, and it should be available soon too. And I just love it. It's just the most gorgeous colors, and I love how fun it is to knit, and it worked out so well and so quickly. I used 3 skeins of Madelinetosh Tosh Merino Lite in Cactus, Joshua Tree, and Pelican, and it knits up super quickly on US 8 or 5mm needles. And yeah, I think I have more gifts that I'm forgetting. I know I didn't talk about the gift that the grocery girls gifted to everyone with their new patterns and the bags, but I also know that Diane talked about this, and Sweet Georgia talked about this. So I got the best. Of course, I got the best print, but it was similar to their package. And I'm trying to think what else I'm forgetting that anyone might have given me. I'm sorry if I forgot to mention your gift. I had a student who gifted me a really, really beautiful necklace, and then also a beautiful mug, a tea mug, but those things are now with my personal belongings. I didn't have them stashed here with my yarn, so I didn't bring them downstairs, but I got some really, really beautiful things from my students too, which is always very nice. And yeah, so I think I will have to stop recording now because it's over 2 hours and I feel that I'm rambling a lot and I'm doing a lot of so I hope I can record like this again next week. I hope the noise is bearable. If it really annoys you, please leave a comment saying don't record like this anymore because it's painful to hear your construction work. But if it's something that you guys can deal with and you want to hear about house life in this house under construction, please also leave me a comment so that I know that you're still there watching. Thanks so much once again. I love you and I missed you a lot. Bye. Special video for the journal that I wanted to record. I don't know if I mentioned this many times whenever I record my videos about knitting, but I discovered a few years ago that I'm really a passionate hiker. I wish I had a better body. I wish I could do more than I do, but whenever I go on a trip, I tell my body that we should do as much as we can. So today my body and I and my family's bodies came to the top of this mountain. We are in Jasper National Park. We just climbed a 660-meter mountain, which is about 2,200 feet, and it's the most incredible feeling in the world. So I asked my husband to record this video so that I can share with you some of the things that I see. I sadly cannot record my feelings right now. I wish you could feel the things that I'm feeling, but at least I can show you with what I see with my eyes. Hi!